understood the question, there were two parts. One was Vigoring, one was the budget. I want to speak to Vigoring first. How many of you have cell phones with instant messaging? Raise your hand. What happens if you send somebody a text and you don't get a response back right away? Do you get a little agitated? Our lives have changed. Technology has changed it. Our expectation for real-time information exchange has changed everything. The proof? Democrats had a majority in the Congress for 40 years. Everyone remembers 94. Republicans took it for 12. Democrats took it for 4. Republicans have it for 2. We could lose it this cycle. What's the trend? Things are accelerating. Sometimes you could even say it's like the water in a toilet. It starts to go faster when it gets nearer to the bottom. That's the Vigoring. Friends, I don't see that frankly getting better, especially with a 500-channel universe. My fear is that it's only going to get worse. That's the reality of modern-day politics. In the old days, they had duels. Today, they have MSNBC versus Fox. The other thing to think about is the budget. I'm the only candidate here, in fact, one of the few in North Carolina, that signed a cut, cap, and balance pledge. Everybody knows Senator Jim DeMint? This was a plan for a constitutional amendment to make sure that if we had a balanced budget amendment, it wouldn't be on the back of raised taxes. We've got to cut our spending, we've got to balance the budget, and we have to make sure we cap relative to GDP. Thank you. Excuse a little extra time getting back to my seat. Thank you.
Mr. Rouse.
It is absolutely appalling that the Congress has not had a budget, I don't think, since 2007. That's part of the reason why spending has grown so dramatically over that period of time. This is not a partisan statement, it's just the truth. When the Democrats took control of the U.S. Senate stopped passing budgets. That's just the hard-cold facts about it. Any other governmental entity would be cracked down in a major way. Any mayor in this country that did not have a budget would go to jail. Folks, that's a huge part of the problem. We have to have a team election in the fall to throw the bums out, get us a new president, and take control of the U.S. Senate so we can have a budget and start getting back on the path of prosperity.
Thanks. Mr. Carter, do you have a minute or any kind of follow-up additional comments?
Okay, I think that the Congress is just not doing what it's supposed to do, but I think the parties are I mean, I just think that cutting your Social Security withholding by $240 billion a year, you're not, you can come up with every wishful thinking in the world, but you're never going to get it in shape unless you put money in there. There's no tricks about doing this, but you've got, you point out no budget, that is horrible, but you've also got so many other things. I mean, we've got a president that has attacked Libya when there wasn't any congressional action. We're not doing what Congress is not doing what they are supposed to do. And then we've got a media that should be standalone corporations and not owned by giant corporations that are, but part of it is to play one side against the other, so there is all this discord, but we've got a mess.
For this next question, we're going to take a question from the audience. And so people are getting the question lined up. The format for this next, Mr. Ventana, you will take the initial response to a question from the audience member, and then Mr. Rouser will have an opportunity, Mr. Crow, and then we'll come back to Mr. Ventana for the final remarks on a question from the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to pose a question? Yes, sir.
I have a question for Mr. Rouser and Mr. Crow.
Well,
I think it's supposed to be a general question that all of us can answer.
Okay, general question.
right, yeah, and all of the candidates will have an opportunity to address
Sure.
the question.
Sure.
Beginning with Mr. Ventana.
Okay. As you know, Larry, the HR 3590, the healthcare bill, has smoke screen legislation snuck into the stack of papers, 2,500 pages. One of them is provision 5210, which is a constabulary force, in effect, a private ready reserve army for the president to use. What are some of the things that can be done, even if the Supreme Court does not nullify Obamacare, that Congress has the privilege of appealing it later on? Hopefully it will. But what are some of the
First, we're going to fire the guy in the White House. Then we're going to repeal Obamacare. Even if we don't, heaven forbid, Obama becomes president, I want you to think about who you want to send to Washington as your insurance policy that's going to stand there and hold him to account. That's one of the things that you have to make a decision on tonight. With regards to the constabulary forces, some of you may remember in the last campaign in 2010, I actually brought the 2,700-page bill around with us. We had it printed double-sided with two little things on a page, and it still weighed about 40 pounds. It creates 160 new agencies. Think about all of the bureaucrats. Already we started to see funding requests go through for IRS agents, for enforcement. Think about that. Think about that. Obamacare has been, I'm going to focus on Obamacare, and then I'm going to close with concerns about overreach of the executive with martial law powers in the United States. So two pieces, indulge. Obamacare is probably the biggest job killer any of us have seen in our lifetime. All of you know King's Barbecue Restaurant in Kinston? Mr. King said, and they employ about 50 people, that he would have a $200,000 penalty starting in 2014, and that they would have to shut their business. This is a business that's been around for 75 years. That story plays out across the district in every industry you can think, from Goodyear and Fayetteville, you name it. Obamacare has caused businesses to be reluctant to hire because of the uncertainty of what it would cost. It's been great if you're a consultant, a lobbyist, or an attorney, but for everybody else, it's been a job killer. It's actually hurt quality of care because now people are having a harder time actually getting access to doctors, and now there are fewer people that actually want to go become doctors. I've got to pivot now in the remaining time to address this other concern. Mr. Crow mentioned the NDAA. Obamacare has these provisions as well. There is real concern that there is some overreach by the federal government to eliminate things like posse comitatus, which kept the military in a law enforcement or away from a law enforcement capacity and kept it focused on foreign threats. Increasingly, with drones and new bills like this, we're seeing an inward focus of our forces, and frankly, that's very dangerous for a government founded by the people for the people, which is why I'm a Second Amendment supporter.
Mr. Hauser, your thoughts on this?
I think it's very simple. The only way you address it is to repeal it. The only way it's going to be repealed is to have a huge election in 2012 where we have a new president. We add more conservatives to the U.S. House and we take control of the U.S. Senate. You know, Obamacare is a job killer in a big way. I'm going to share a quick story with you. My brother, a few years older than I am, he told me this story not long ago. And he said, I had a CEO come in here, and he said, what's going to be the effect of Obamacare? And he said, I told him, I said, you can see any increases in health insurance. You can see less of the doctor-patient relationship. The guy called him about 3 weeks later. He said, I want to take you and your wife out to dinner. He said, why? He said, well, you just saved our company hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, we got all the right folks around the table and figured out how much Obamacare was going to cost us. We were set to hire 60 new college graduates, and we didn't hire them. Now, those 60 new college graduates, they may have a job, but they lost out on an opportunity to start a career.
Thanks. Mr. Clerk?
This thing about the civilian, getting kids to, giving them a gun and being in this police force thing has been bandied around and been something that has scared a lot of people, rightfully so, for a long time. But I mean, the whole thing, Obamacare, needs to be repealed yesterday. There are a couple of thoughts is, why is it there? The reason is because you've got monopolists, that it's a consolidation of a giant portion of an economy. And that's why these corporations like it and why it's there. And it's the same thing that has been going on for years. It's putting more of the economy into these giant corporations. Now, what do we do? And I've been thinking about this, but I think the states are going to have to start standing up to the federal government and just not going along with the things and just standing up to them. It's going to